G'day and welcome back. In today's video and podcast episode, I'm going to share with you a video inside the blurry to tack sharp photos, the 4-step system. This one is really cool. It's all about manual focus with your phone. Now, I know you may be thinking, I have an iPhone, I have an Android, there's no manual focus, or an Android, you've got the Pro mode with the manual focus and you'll find it a little bit cumbersome. Inside this video lesson, I share with you Lightroom mobile app. Now, don't be intimidated by that. I know for myself, when I first started exploring getting into Photoshop, it was just overwhelming. The app is it's quite simplified, and even a lot of people who use Lightroom don't realize that the app is actually a camera replacement app as well, which is fantastic. And one of the great features of that is the ability to do manual focus. And it has this thing called focus clipping. So it's basically an overlay. So you have your phone and you have an overlay, you have the image, a live view of what's going on, and it has an overlay to actually show you what parts of the photo are in focus. So I'm going to go a bit of a deep dive, and but yeah, so I just wanted to share this is one of my favorite lessons inside the course and give you free access to it now. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, I have a YouTube video where when I'm describing things that might not be, you might not be able to see, or you can't see what's going on, so you might prefer to watch the YouTube video. So without further ado, play the intro and I'll get straight into it. So the big question is this: how do smartphone photo enthusiasts like us become that creative and confident photographer we desire and deserve to be, creating those beautiful, impactful photos? This podcast will give you the answers. I'm Mike and welcome to the Smartphone Photography Club. In this video, we're going to talk about manual focus, why you use it, when you use it, how you use it, all that sort of thing. So kicking it off, previous experience. Now we're going to use the inbuilt camera features as well as Adobe Lightroom. That's what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm not sure if you've had much experience with Adobe. I haven't discussed it yet. This is the first time in this course. I'll be using it a bit in this course, but this is the first time, so we'll get into that. Don't feel nervous about Adobe. It's a free app. It takes a couple of minutes to set up an account, and you can use so many cool free tools within that app. It's really worth pursuing. Get over that little bit of apprehension you might have, because you'll love it as much as I do. All right, so what you will learn is how to get sharper focus. And the benefit and the cost of not getting sharp focus is it's really hard when we get further along in the course, where we then start getting into the editing side of it. It's a lot easier to edit an image that's not sharp than it is these out of focus. There's a big difference. If it's out of focus, then we just don't have the information there to try and tweak it and get some more definition in there. So it's really critical that we get this point right with the focus. So let's get into it. Now, what I have in front of me here is a little basic setup, and I just wanted to explain to you how the camera works. So basically, it's all fully automatic. It detects the scene and it goes, okay, what's in front of here? What should I be auto focusing on? If there's an object that's really closer to the lens, it's taking up the majority of the scene, it'll go, yep, that's what I want to lock onto, and it'll autofocus on that. The best subject matter that the camera will perform its best is if there's a person in there. So if there's a face in there, it'll go, there's a really good chance that this photo enthusiast wants to get this person in focus. So it'll do a really good job at autofocusing on that. Scenarios like this that I've created a scene here that actually tricks the camera. And this is one you'll actually come across quite often, where the two subjects that I have here, one's slightly closer, but they're both relatively the same size. And for the camera, it doesn't know what your intention is. It doesn't know which one to focus on. So what it does is it goes, okay, I'm going to have to compromise here, and I'll find a balance of focus in between them. So I'll bring up the screen here. You like the smiley face? The camera that I'm looking at there, I actually have another one of these smiley faces, because I have this whole studio set up where it's all black and dark in the background there, and I can't actually see the lens that I'm looking at, so I have a big smiley just like that one. So if you ever wonder how I get that enthusiasm and energy here, because I'm looking at a smiley face, that's why. So I've made another one here, and you can see here, this is just a lens cover on a tripod holder or smartphone holder on a little mini tripod. And I have a lens attachment and I have this little picture here. Now, to show you that I didn't set this up, what I'll do is I'll go to video mode. Now you can see there, both of them are out of focus, aren't they? You can see the letters there on the lens, the 18mm, that's out of focus, and the smiley face is out of focus. What you can do on most phones is you can actually tap the screen and tell it, okay, this is what I want you to focus on. Nearly every smartphone has that ability. Some Samsungs, if you have it on easy mode, then you don't have a little bit of semi-control. So if you don't have a little touch screen, that might be why. It might be a shooting mode that you're using. Okay, so what it's done here is it's gone, oh, I'm not quite sure which one. Now I'll show you, if I tap on that smiley face, have a look at that. That becomes in focus, and then the lens is more out of focus. Now if I tap on that lens, look at that, the numbers now you can see the difference, can't you? Now they are a lot more crisp in the numbers there. And look at the smiley face, it's further out of focus now. So if I switch between modes, okay, I'll go to photo mode. When I'm switching between modes, it's actually turning off that point that I touched. So that's what I've done by doing that. Okay, as you can see there, the 18, because it's actually closer to the lens, where it's trying to find that focus distance, it's going, well, that's closer, so I need to compromise, but I'll compromise closer to that one because that's closer to the lens. Does that make sense? So what I want to show you is a little trick with the iPhone. What you can do, you can pinch and zoom. Okay, so I'm going to get in really close here, get right in on that thread. And I can long press on there, so long press, and you see up the top there, auto exposure, auto focus, lock. So I've now locked it when it comes up with that little symbol up the top, and now I can zoom out knowing that that is going to be tack sharp focus right on that thread. So right on that thread, I've told it, I've zoomed right in, I've long pressed on there, and I've said, okay, this is where I want you to focus. And then when I zoom out, and now it's locked, and so it won't go and try and focus on something else. And the beauty of that is I can take a photo and it'll stay there. It'll stay there for the next photo. Okay, tap, and then you can see there, it's still locked. Most Android smartphones, you can do that. You can zoom in, you can lock it, which is fantastic. But then as soon as you touch the screen to zoom back out again, it resets. So bit of an issue. That said, a lot of Androids have a different shooting mode. It's not as limited as the iPhone. You actually have a Pro mode, and on Pro mode you have options there to adjust the ISO, shutter, focus, white balance, all these other ones, but focus is one that you can actually go in there in Pro mode and you can manually adjust that. All right, while I'm here, I'll just show you one more thing, a little bit off topic. When that's selected, I can now go and decrease the exposure. Try to keep this as relevant to everyone as I can. So what I want to do is now show you Adobe Lightroom that is available on Android and the iPhone. Fantastic camera replacement app. So I'll bring that up now. So here we go. This is what Adobe Lightroom looks like with the camera app. I have it on Pro mode, and on here you can see lots of dials there. We have auto with the brackets with the plus, that is the autofocus. Now if I tap on that, okay, and you can see there we have a slider. Down the bottom there is auto. As we move that slider up and down, we're going to change where it focuses. So it focuses either really close or further away. And the really cool thing about this is you get a green overlay over your display, which actually shows you what the camera believes to be exact point where it's in focus, which is really cool. So I've got my thumb on there. Okay, straight away I can see there's the green overlay. That's on the 18mm. And as I swipe that up, it's going to move right across past that, and it's going to go over to the smiley face and beyond. So there we go. The smiley face is in focus. The back of the lens is in focus here. And then as I come further, you can see here the smiley face, all this is going to disappear. It won't be green anymore. No more green. And then moving closer and closer to the front edge there. So I have this, at the moment I have this camera right on that threshold about that 7 centimeters where you get any closer, the lens can't focus. So if I bring this back, okay, bring this back a bit, you can see there, that's on focus. And then I'll move further and further and further, and now you'll see the green smiley face be in focus. All right, I'm going to bring up another opportunity to demonstrate this with a flower now. Now with the built-in lens, it has a certain distance that it stays in focus. It does. The closer you get to the lens, the smaller that distance is in focus. The further away, this is why with landscapes, you point your camera at a landscape, everything's in focus. But if you have something really close, then you can get that really nice blur background. So that's in focus at the moment. If I have my hand there, see how my hand is blurry? Okay, so at the moment, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the manual focus from the front edge of the flower to the back. But it's not quite working because that, what we call depth of field, actually fills in the whole flower. So what I've got here is I have a Stream & Optics manual focus. Now this is going to be confusing, isn't it? I'm using a manual focus lens with the manual focus app. Now in this lesson, I'm going to include another video where I actually do a bit more of a deep dive into this, but I just want to continue this demonstration here. All right, now with this lens has a narrower depth of field, so less. So this is fantastic to get a part of the image in focus, to get some real cool extreme details out of it. If I wanted to have more in focus, then without that lens, you could see that it was a bit more forgiving, wasn't it? Okay, so with this lens, you can get in extremely close with this lens. Okay, there we go. And with the auto, you can see here, okay, the top of the, and then, okay, now I'm going to go the other way. Well, you can actually see that, can't you? When I turn this, you can see the green overlay from the center of the flower moves towards the front. See that? Okay. So I'm going to leave it there at the front, and now with the autofocus here, oh, it's going the other way, sorry, towards the back. And now with the autofocus, manual focus, I'm going to bring that towards the front. So you can see there, the front's in focus, and now I've continue. Now the rear is in focus. So this lens has a much more narrow area that's in focus, and we can either do it with the manual focus on there, or we can do it on there. Now again, similar to the iPhone, I can zoom in nice and close. Okay, manual focus, and then we can get in. You can see there, you can see all the center of that flower is in focus. Now the front of it is. Now the back of it is, so you can see it, and the green overlay is just fantastic, isn't it, to really see what is in focus. And now that I've zoomed, now I can zoom out, and I know that the center of that flower is going to be in focus. How good is that? That's fantastic. All right, so that's manual focus. Like I said, focus is pivotal, it's critical to getting a sharp, tack sharp image, because if it's out of focus, there's only so much I can do, or we can do in mobile editing to get this part right. So having a a macro lens like this gives you much more creativity, so that you can narrow that area that's in sharp focus. And it's fantastic because then you have contrast, blur either side of it, and can really make those details just really pop. So yeah, let's take a photo of that. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you got a lot out of that. I know myself, it was a real eye-opener when I first discovered that you could even do manual focus on a smartphone camera, let alone all the other features that are inside Lightroom. So thank you again for watching. This was a video lesson out of the Blurry to Tack Sharp Photos 4-step system. The link will be below on how you can find out more about that course. So thank you again, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.